Hey guys, and welcome to another Patreon exclusive video with me, Jim, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. And in this one, we wanted to talk about one incident that happened in week 3 that we didn't have a chance really to go through on the main pod, but felt it probably deserved us having a better look at it. And because we're behind the paywall, we're actually going to look at YouTube with impunity to talk about this. It's something that Dave hasn't even seen, which is even better. And that is the injury that Tua sustained, which they're officially calling a back injury. It's a short week, so they think he's actually going to start.
I mean, he's short, but he's not that short.
He is short.
Come on.
Yeah. So let's have a look at this play then. So we are in the second quarter, just the second quarter. It's not half time yet. We've got a 3rd and 3, and Tua is rolling out to the left. Makes the throw. There's the catch. Jalen Waddle, all good. First down. But we have an issue with Tua.
And watch for his back.
We're not going to see it on this angle either. But he basically falls. We might see it here. He falls down straight on his back, and his head is going to hit the turf. And as he gets up, we're going to see. Shake it. He's okay. He's not okay. Now, we've seen this a few times in rugby. We haven't seen it for a while in the NFL, to be honest. It has happened. But he was not able to properly walk for a while. He got off the field there, but...
Did he go through concussion protocol?
I reckon he did. So if I cut back stuff from there, but...
Oh, he does flip a bit, doesn't he? I've just seen it on my phone because my reception's not that great. It does sort of wobble a bit.
Yeah. Now, the reason they've brought in these extra protocols is because they can't trust the QB. The player themselves is in no position to say that they're actually good enough to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
There is an independent guy on the field that's supposed to be flagging this stuff up.
There's no player on the planet that's going to go, yeah, take me out. I'm injured.
No.
Well,
Jay Cutler might, but
there's no athlete on the planet that would ever do that. I mean, how many times do we see in boxing guys standing there having just been knocked out, can barely stand up, going, "I'm fine, I'm fine."
Yeah,
so no,
absolutely.
no, mate, you're not. You're cooked. It's you shouldn't ever speak to that. The problem. So I've looked on YouTube now, and there's video.
I'm showing it right now, Dave. You're seeing it on the screen several times.
Yes, but on my screen, because my internet's rubbish, it's essentially a slideshow. So yeah. Well, my laptop's rubbish, my internet's not rubbish. But every single video on there is talking about Tua's head injury, Tua's injury, was it really a head injury, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, this is in Miami, where it's 90 degrees and so on and so forth. So that ground is rock hard. Yeah. There's no way that what did the Dolphins come out and say? He injured his back earlier or something, and it was just the muscles loosening. Don't give me that nonsense. He smashed his head on the ground. He was flipping, wobbling about all over the place. There's no way he should have been left in that game.
So let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Punk used to be a goalkeeper in soccer.
I did. For my sins.
Played for a Premier League team. That's somewhat of a false advertisement, but you're on their books. And you've had back troubles previously as well.
Yes.
You've taken significant amounts of horse tranquilizers for a long time. So
absolutely.
You have played in a position that is requires an amount of dexterity and have back troubles. Let's say that you're playing. Okay, let's say that you aren't on any painkillers and you take a hit. A corner comes in. Anyone doesn't know about soccer or anything like that, but let's say a corner comes in. You take a big hit. You flop on the ground. Let's say you bang your head. You don't. Whatever, makes no difference. We're only talking about the back. You get up. There is a good chance that you're going to end up sort of going to the ground with a significant back injury again, like that. No.
Yeah, you would. And the thing is that when you injure your back, you don't wobble about left and right. You go up and down. You either can come up or you can't.
Let's say you've got an injury to one side of your back. Let's say it's not necessarily a spinal injury. It could be muscular. It could be, a rib cage or something like that. I mean, we've seen it before where rib cages get broken. All of a sudden you get punctured lungs and it affects one side. Is there a possibility from your experience? I'm not saying that you're a medical expert or anything like that, but from your experience of sporting injuries, is that likely?
I mean, it can happen, but there's no way that you hurt your back on one side, both sides, in the middle, at the top, at the bottom, and you wobble around. You'd be moving much slower than that. You wouldn't be able to get up off the ground for a start. You'd definitely be, if you were lying prone, you'd be going into an all fours position to try and stretch and see what's happening before actually needing to be helped up.
But he got up on his own.
What you're seeing here from Tua is that there's no pain in his back. He's not grabbing his back as if something's happened.
He's lost
just
coordination.
Literally stood up, lost coordination, and gone to the ground. That is a classic symptom of a head injury. It's not a back injury.
Yep.
I did have an injury once where I felt like that, and that was when I was involved in a car accident. I was on a bike, hit a car, and had a fairly significant head injury. And that was, I don't want to say it before, asking you about your back, but that was reminiscent of the injury that I had. So
whenever my back's been injured, the first thing I do is you feel it and you hold your back. It's the same as if player gets his ACL done. He grabs his knee. He's not just letting it go and standing up. And do you know what I mean? If you hurt a particular part of your body, your natural reflex is to grab that part of the body. It's not to just ignore it, stand up, walk 3 yards, and then flop over. There's no way that the Dolphins coming out and saying that's a back injury flies with me at all. And
the reason they're supposed to bring in the independent guy on the sideline is that you take it out of the Dolphins' hands.
Yeah,
they take it out of Tua's hands. You take it out of the Dolphins' hands. You say, look, we have spotted something which looks like it's a head injury. As far you've got to prove it's not a head injury. He went off into the locker room and he came back out again. Now there have been concerns that he didn't go through the proper checks for a concussion. He got out too soon because I'm not sure there was really any plays where there might be one or two, but he was under center basically for the entire game. Teddy Bridgewater came in for a few plays, didn't do very well, and pretty soon too was back out again. And finishing, and then playing the entire second half and winning the game. It would have robbed us of a win and a great game if he hadn't come out. That's not the point. In my opinion, we either have these rules for safety or we don't. And I think it looks like there's been a failure by the league to actually step in on this occasion. Unless they can come out and prove they did all the right checks for concussion and he actually didn't have it. It was just for a second a bit spinny and then it went away. But there are strict rules. There are strict rules they brought in after all the issues they had with concussion to stop this from being an issue.
And that's the major point here, is that the NFL over the last few years have been so hot on concussions and have been so upfront about concussions to a degree that for them to have either not spotted this, that's a possibility. The spotter was, I don't know, buying a hot dog or something at the time, and so didn't see
it's the toilets before halftime.
Told, any of those things that can happen right before a half. I just don't see how the NFL can turn around and say, no, everything's fine, or they need to be coming out and actually saying, no, you need to prove that this was a back injury. You need to see some scans, or there needs to be a record that someone signed that says, we did all the concussion protocol. It definitely wasn't, and it was his back. All right, all that stuff could be faked, let's be honest, but it just surprises me the NFL haven't been a little more aggressive with the Dolphins on this.
It's not in their interest, is it?
Well, it kind of is, because if they start losing credibility around how they're protecting players and things, then you're going to end up in the lawsuit situation again that they were in a few years ago, but which was entirely the reason why they bought the protocols and the independent spotters in the first place.
Do you know the problem that I've got with all of this, and it's not the Tua incident, it's everything in total, is the fact that they call it a concussion. It's not a concussion. Do you know what they should call it? They should call it a catastrophic brain injury, because that's what it is. That's exactly what a concussion is. People think, oh, I banged my head, I got a concussion. No, you haven't. you remember Romain Grosjean's F1 crash in Bahrain 2020?
Yep.
When it burst into flames and he got severe. I mean, he crashed at 170. He didn't get a concussion. No. In that circumstance, he did not get a concussion. That tells you everything you need to know about concussions. You know, they are a catastrophic brain injury, and people are not designed to fall backwards and out for our heads to hit the ground, the solid ground, to the back of our head. And that is exactly what a concussion is. It's a catastrophic brain injury that affects our cognitive ability to be able to actually, you know, have movement and adhere to normal
it blocks
function.
the messages from the brain to the other appendages and anything else, because your brain's going, I'm malfunctioning. So, you know, that's why he falls over, because he's got a concussion, because his brain isn't telling his legs, you need to walk. And, you know, it's a short circuit. That's a concussion is a short circuit in the brain.
Well, I mean, boxers get knocked out without having concussion. So,
it can happen,
you know, it happens all the time. I mean, a lot of boxers will have 40, 50 fights, and throughout all of them, maybe only have 2 or 3 concussions. So it's where the doctors draw the line of he's back up, he's cognitive, he's fine, he can continue, and it being a concussion. And the thing that we don't know is, number one, was he examined? What was the depth of it? And as you say, having protocols in place is one thing, but when they're being controlled by people, by a guy, they're open for interpretation. Who's to say that the guy doing it wasn't, you know, a Miami fan? And saying, well, let's get him back in there. I
don't think it was that. I think it was more.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying that the possibility is there for interpretation.
Well, the accusation would be that this game, they kept the QBs in. If it had been in the Atlanta-Seattle game, for example, and Geno Smith had that happen to him, would they have stepped in and think, actually, we don't really care about this game, but we want to keep we want to keep this player on the field because Miami's in the game. It's 14-0.
This is one of the games.
This is the accusation you're going to get.
The week.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, the NFL needs to be smart about this and get in front of it and actually, you know, ask the questions.
Well, if they come out and show these are the tests that happened, you know, we did the thorough examination test when he went into the locker room. This confirms he didn't have a concussion. We've done a follow-up test the next few days, and he is still not in the medical concussion, as far as anyone can tell. And he's good to go for Thursday. That's how they get ahead of it. If they're silent on this, then it leaves them open to the questioning of did they do it for the ratings.
Especially if he gets hit on Thursday and same thing happens again.
Well, if he's just unsure on his footing at all. I mean, he did finish out the game. He looked absolutely fine the second half, but this was a scary thing to see, and partly because they've done such a good job of kind of changing the way that tackles happen. It was a late push a bit by Matt Milano after the ball had gone, but he's that kind of player.
This is the sort of thing you used to see in the 80s all the time. 80s and early 90s, you know, players wobbling about all over the place, not knowing where to line up, which way their sideline is, and all the rest of it, you know. And it's well documented the amount of tragic deaths that have occurred in ex-players from around that time. The whole point is to stop this from happening. It's, you know, they've put in place these checks and independent spotters and so on and so forth to stop this from happening. If there's even a sniff of a chance that he's got a concussion, sit him down and just, you know, be sensible, play it safe. Yep. But, you know, like we said, if no one comes to be transparent and no one actually wants you to find out, then it's probably going to take a while till we do. And the only way to do it is to put pressure on them through the media and stuff, which is starting to happen. Especially if, like we say, Tua turns up on Thursday and is a bit wobbly and doesn't look great and so on and so forth. He goes 0 for 10 on his first 10 throws on Thursday. People are going to ask questions.
Let's also not forget that this probably isn't an isolated injury or an isolated incident of teams allowing their players to play through injury. I mean, it happens all the time. We hear about it on, you know, America's game where players say, I had all kinds of injections to play. And it's happened in the same week where Justin Herbert was forced onto the field, was allowed to play when he obviously wasn't fit. And there was numerous reports of him not being not being fit as well. So it's not as though it's the only time it's happened. But as you say, give a player an opportunity and he'll want to play.
There you go. So not something we wanted to see, and I'm not sure it's been handled particularly well by the NFL. Let's see if they change or release any more information before the Thursday night game. They've got a chance to still, but yeah. Just hope he's okay. And there's no lasting effects of what happened there. Guys, let us know what you think. You can comment in the video below. And until next week, I've been Jim, that's been Punk Raider, and that's been Never Dave. Cheers.
The following Thursday.
Make it the issue last week. Yeah. So they work on him. We'll step away for a moment.